And the first thing we want to do is get rid of the default light in here. So I'm going to right click on that, click delete. And you'll see when we do that that the two lights that were parented to that main light object, the render shadows and scene shadows, are still there. So whenever you delete an object in the outliner, the objects that were parented to it don't get deleted, they're still there. So let's right click on each of those and hit delete. And you'll see now down in the camera view, which is set up to texture mode for viewport shading, the cube is now completely black because there are no lights anywhere in the scene to illuminate our object. So if we click the render button, we'll see this renders an entirely dark object void of light. I'll switch that back to 3D view. I'm going to hit X to delete this cube, and I'm going to hit Shift A and add a plane, press S to scale. And then I'm going to go ahead and press Shift A and under lamp add a point light. So immediately when I add that point light, we see the options for the point light up here, and we see its effect down in the 3D view. So I'm going to hit G to grab it, hold middle mouse and strain it upwards, and change the viewport shading of our main 3D view to texture mode so we can see the effects of all the lights and shadows and what have you. Pull that up a bit. Double right click anywhere here and add a monkey head. Remember, we can set the 3D cursor by clicking the right mouse. If we press Shift A, that will bring up an add menu, which will then add an object wherever the 3D cursor is. Hit X to delete that. Or the super speedy method of doing that, if you already know where you want to be and you want to bring up the add menu, is just to double right click, and then it will add an object where you double right clicked. Let's select this monkey head, press W to add some smoothing and a subdivision surface modifier. Let's bump up the view to 2 and the render to 3 so it looks nicer when it renders. Then I'm going to hit G to grab it, and I'm just going to press D to duplicate it and bring it over here. So now when we grab this point light and we click it and we press G to move it around, we can sort of see the effect it has on these two objects. Now if I hit R to try to rotate it, notice that nothing happens because it's a point light, hence the name point light. Select this plane here, hit Tab, and then hit E to extrude, and just bring that up just a little bit so that now I have a more solid object here. And then I'm going to press Tab to go out of edit mode. So I want to select and then Shift select each one of these monkey heads and this plane. Hit D to duplicate it and press the middle mouse to bring that selection up. I'm going to hit D to duplicate those again such that I have 3 layers of these guys. So you'll see that even though the point lamp is in this middle layer, we're still getting the light effects on this bottom layer and above here. And why is that, you might be asking? That is because the light effect will shine straight through if you're not using a shadow. So for instance, if we zoom out here in our camera and we go down to this first layer and we tap the space bar to get a render preview, we'll see that it is not black. It is acting as though the light is going straight through all those objects. So I'll hit space to get out of that. So the actual point is in the middle layer, but it's going downward, as we can see the results on the heads, and it's going upwards, as we can see the results here. However, if we go back here once again down to the bottom, and we under shadow we click ray shadow, and then we tap the space bar, we'll see that this is completely black, because once you turn shadows on for any of your light types, then Blender's going to behave much more realistically in terms of what objects light will go through and what have you. So I'll hit space to get out of that. So you'll see that we still see the light all over the place in the 3D view, but when we actually go to render it, because we have shadows on, it's not going to go through these walls, so to speak. So let's grab this point light, click it and hit G to grab, pull it up. Then I'm going to press 5 to go into top view. And you'll notice that we're not seeing any shadows in the 3D view with this point light. And that's because only the spotlight contains what's called a buffer shadow, which is what we can use to see the effects of a shadow in the 3D view. Now the sun, the sunlight type does have a small area of influence. We can see the shadows effect, but not as much as the spot. And so pretty much except for the sun and the spot, we can't see shadows in the 3D view. So I'm going to press 5. I'll select this point light here, and I'm going to hit G to grab, and I'm just going to hit D to duplicate it to these 4 different corners. I kind of want to show straight away how neat influencing the colors of the lights can be. Just so if I select this lamp here, and I change its color to like a blue, we'll see how that's straight away blending with all these other lights and reflecting on this object here. So I'll select this light and I'll change its color to like a red, and I'll pick this one and change it to something like a green, and this one I'll change it to some kind of teal or something. Anyway, so straight away we see just some really interesting lighting effects, and you can imagine what kind of cool stuff you could figure out if you spent a long time playing around with this. So I'm going to select that monkey head there and hit Alt and middle mouse button to zoom in right on it in the camera view, so that I can tap my space bar and get a little render preview. So I see some of the shadows coming back behind these 2 monkey heads. I'm going to go ahead and hit space, hit D to duplicate this one and bring one in the middle, and just make him a bit bigger by hitting S to scale. If I hold Shift and Alt and then press the right mouse button, that will bring my 3D cursor to the center of whatever object I have selected. So now I'm going to, under pivot point, select 3D cursor, and if I select all of these lamps and hit S to scale, then they'll all scale in towards the where the 3D cursor is. So I want to bring them in just a little bit closer. Hit space again to get a little render preview. Now I've got a lot more interesting shadows and things like that going on.